Welcome, family. I want to talk to some people who've been carrying too much. You've been juggling expectations, pressure, uncertainty, and pain, wearing strength like it's armor, but crying in the silence of your soul. You've done all you can with what you had. You've prayed, you've planned, and you've pushed, but now it's time for something deeper. This is not just about effort. This is about surrender. God is not asking you to carry everything. He's asking you to give him everything. So today we're going to learn what it means to put everything, yes, everything in God's hands. Because when your hands are full of fear, his are full of peace. When your hands are tired, his are still strong. When your heart is broken, his hands know how to heal. Let's get ready to release, to trust, and to believe again. We spend so much of our lives trying to manage the chaos. From the moment we wake up, we're making to-do lists, setting reminders, calculating risks, solving problems. And we start to believe that our worth is tied to how much we can control. We convince ourselves that if we can just stay on top of everything, relationships, careers, health, family, we'll be okay. But the truth is, that kind of control is an illusion. It gives us a temporary sense of security, but it can't hold us in a storm. It can't give us peace in the midnight hour. It can't comfort us when we're facing battles bigger than our resources, our wisdom, or our strength. God never asked us to carry the weight of the world. He never asked us to orchestrate our future. What he asked for was trust. He asked us to believe him, to lean not on our own understanding, and to acknowledge him in all our ways. But we get in the way. We feel like we have to do everything. We start thinking that our outcome is dependent entirely on our input. That if we just work hard enough, think smart enough, plan thoroughly enough, we can force the results we want. And when things fall apart, we blame ourselves. We think we didn't do enough, didn't pray enough, didn't prepare enough. But the truth is, God never designed life to be carried in your hands. He designed it to be surrendered into his. Let's go deeper. Think about all the moments you tried to hold everything together. When you were the peacemaker in your family, the problem solver at work, the strong one in the relationship. You wore that role like a badge, but deep down it was breaking you. The late nights overthinking, the anxiety in your chest that you called just stress, the fear you didn't want to name. You were trying to be God in your situation, trying to hold the pieces that only he could sustain. And here's what happens when we live like that. We begin to confuse control with purpose. We think our purpose is to manage when our true calling is to trust. We try to fix what's not ours to fix and then wonder why we feel stuck, why we feel tired, why we feel like nothing we do is enough. Control is exhausting. It's a cycle that wears you down because it's based on the belief that you're alone in this, but you're not. And the more you release control, the more you make space for God to move. He's not interested in being your backup plan. He wants to be your foundation. He wants to be the first place you run, not the last resort. But he can't take what you're still clenching. He can't fill hands that are already full of worry, fear, pride, or regret. You have to release it. Let's talk about what release actually looks like, because it's not passive. It's not giving up. It's giving over. It's waking up and saying, God, I don't have all the answers, but I believe you do. I don't see the whole picture, but I trust that you're painting something beautiful. It's saying this battle is too big for me, but I know it's not too big for you. It's choosing peace over control, even when your flesh wants to grip. Release is not a one-time thing either. It's a daily decision. It's a rhythm of surrender. Every morning you wake up, you get to choose whether you'll carry it again or give it back to God. Now, some of you might be thinking, but if I don't handle it, who will? And that's the fear speaking. That's the wound talking. Maybe you've been let down before. Maybe people walked away when you needed them most. Maybe you had to grow up too fast, take care of people before you were even old enough to care for yourself. I see you. God sees you, and he knows why you struggle with release, but he also wants to heal that place. He wants to show you what real security looks like, because when God holds something, he doesn't drop it. When God says he's got you, he means it. He's not like people. He's not going to flake, abandon, or forget. He is faithful, and he's strong enough to carry what's been crushing you. You are not built to carry that grief alone. You were not created to hold that fear without covering. You are not meant to live under the pressure of fixing what only God can fix. Some of us need to stop praying for strength to carry more and start praying for wisdom to carry less. The peace you want isn't found in more control. It's found in deeper trust. And the trust begins with release. Some of you have been holding your future so tightly that you've squeezed the faith out of it. God is saying, let me write the next chapter. Let me handle what's too heavy for you. But we've got to let go of our own pens. We've got to stop editing the script and start trusting the author. Jesus modeled this for us. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he had every reason to take control, to run, to avoid the cross. But instead he said, not my will, but yours be done. That was the ultimate release. It was a surrender so powerful that it shook eternity. And if the Son of God needed to release control, how much more do we? How much more do we need to lean on the Father and say, I don't understand it, but I trust you. I don't like how it feels, but I know you are good. I don't see a way out, but I know you are the way. Maybe your release looks like forgiving someone who hasn't apologized. Maybe it's putting down a dream that's become an idol. Maybe it's walking away from a situation you can't fix. Whatever it is, know this: release is not a loss. It's a shift. It's a handoff. You're handing it from your weakness into his strength, from your confusion into his clarity, from your timeline into his eternity. And there's power in that handoff. There's peace in that trust. There's healing in that surrender. You can breathe again when you release. You can rest again. You can feel joy again. Because release isn't about losing control. It's about giving it back to the one who never lost it in the first place. Your life is not spiraling. Your future is not uncertain in his hands. He's still in control, even when you're not. And that's the best news of all. We grow up being told that strength looks like standing tall, speaking loudly, never backing down. We're told that surrender is for the weak, for those who couldn't make it, couldn't handle it, couldn't win. So we learn to put on a strong face even when we're breaking inside. We learn to keep fighting battles even after we've run out of weapons. We pretend we're okay, push through the pain, and convince ourselves that holding on to everything is what makes us powerful. But in God's kingdom, strength doesn't look like pride. It looks like surrender. It looks like open hands instead of clenched fists. It looks like bowed heads, not puffed chests. It looks like trust over control. God's economy of strength is different from the world's. In the world, they tell you to hustle until something breaks. In the kingdom, God says to be still and know that he is God. In the world, they tell you to fake it until you make it. But God calls you to face it. Face your fears, your doubts, your weaknesses, because he's not intimidated by any of them. He's not asking for your perfection. He's asking for your surrender. He's saying, let me in. Let me lead. But that can only happen when we stop treating surrender like a shameful last resort and start embracing it as the powerful first step of trust. Some of the strongest people in scripture weren't the ones who had all the answers or fought the hardest battles in their own strength. They were the ones who knew how to bow. Look at David. Before he was king, he was a shepherd boy, overlooked, underestimated, alone with nothing but a slingshot and faith. He wasn't trying to climb the ladder of status. He was simply surrendered. He was faithful in the field, trusting that God saw him even when no one else did. And that surrender opened the door to elevation. Look at Mary, the mother of Jesus. When the angel came and disrupted everything she thought she knew about her life, she didn't argue or run away. She surrendered. Be it unto me according to your word. That wasn't weakness. That was power. That was strength rooted in obedience. We think we have to be in control to be strong, but the truth is that trying to stay in control of everything is one of the quickest ways to lose your peace. Because what you don't surrender will end up controlling you. That relationship you won't release will keep dictating your worth. That plan you refuse to put down will keep setting you up for disappointment. That identity you're clinging to will keep you from stepping into who God really called you to be. What you grip tightest is often the thing that's keeping you bound. And the moment you surrender it is the moment you begin to breathe again. Surrender is a spiritual flex. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It takes more courage to lay something at God's feet than to keep wrestling with it on your own. Anybody can carry baggage. Anybody can fake confidence. But it takes someone truly strong to say, God, I need you. I can't do this without you. I don't want to move unless you move with me. That's the kind of strength that breaks chains. That's the kind of posture that invites heaven into earth. That's the kind of surrender that shifts atmospheres. But let's be honest, surrender is uncomfortable. It doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it looks like letting go of a dream that meant everything to you. Sometimes it looks like walking away from a relationship you prayed for, but God didn't bless. Sometimes it looks like staying still when everything in you wants to run. Surrender will stretch you. It will strip you of your ego. It will force you to confront how much you've been relying on your own ability instead of God's anointing. But there's beauty in that breaking. There's power in that pause. Because when your hands are finally empty of what you thought you needed, they're ready to receive what God actually wants to give. It's not just about surrendering situations, it's about surrendering self. Surrendering your timeline, your expectations, your definition of success. That's one of the hardest parts, because we all have pictures in our minds of what life was supposed to look like. Maybe you thought you'd be married by now. Maybe you thought the business would have taken off. Maybe you thought you'd be healed already. And when those things don't happen on your timeline, you start to question God's plan. But surrender says, God, even if it doesn't look how I want it, I still trust that it's good. I still trust that you know better than me. That's not weakness. That's maturity. That's depth. That's kingdom strength. Paul said it like this: when I am weak, then I am. That doesn't make sense unless you understand what surrender really does. When you admit your weakness, you make room for God's strength. When you acknowledge your limits, you unlock his limitless power. That's why you don't have to be afraid of surrender. You don't have to fear letting go. Because every time you surrender something to God, you're not losing. You're trading up. You're exchanging your temporary security for his eternal stability. You're giving up the illusion of control in exchange for divine alignment. And here's the thing: surrender doesn't mean you stop showing up. It doesn't mean you stop trying or caring. It means you shift your source. You stop depending on your own strength and start depending on his. You show up with faith instead of fear. You work from a place of trust instead of anxiety. You make decisions not based on desperation, but based on discernment. Because now you're led, not driven. You're grounded, not grasping. You're walking with God instead of running ahead of him. Surrender also teaches you how to wait. Waiting is hard when you're still trying to control the outcome. But when you've surrendered it to God, waiting becomes less about the clock and more about your character. It becomes a season of preparation, not punishment. You start to realize that God's delays are not denials. They're divine. He's working things out behind the scenes. He's protecting you from what you can't see. And when you've surrendered, you don't need to have all the answers to have peace. You don't need a full map to take the next step. You just need to know who's leading. And sometimes God won't give you clarity until you give him control. He's not going to speak into something you haven't given him authority over. You're asking God for direction, but still steering the wheel. You're praying for confirmation, but unwilling to yield your own preferences. Surrender is the key that unlocks the next level.